You have a question? Oh, yes, I have an answer. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is another episode of Ask James. Let's get to the email. Okay, I have a question that I've been searching the answer to for years. I'm asking because I believe you can answer this without any bias. It's a long one. Okay. I had a close childhood friend. I've always figured that he was gay, or at least bisexual, but he didn't walk in it, so I played Ray Charles to it. He finally came out to me. I simply said, "It's about time." Months later, he came out to his family, and they didn't take it well at all. They're Jehovah's Witnesses. Everything with us remained the same, and then suddenly he started becoming a little distant. When I called to check on him, there would be a long delay in his responses up until he stopped responding altogether. After a few months, I decided to call him, and he said, "I'm just trying to find myself." I told him that I'm here whenever you need me, but I will not chase you. I backed off, put him on my holiday and birthday contact only list. I called him on his birthday, and that's when I found out he had relocated to New York. Wow. I congratulated him on the move, but he seemed so different to me. I bumped into his mom, and she told me he has cut off everyone, but she figured that he'd at least still be in contact with me. Years went by, and I happened to run into him while he was in town for his mom's funeral. He ran up to me and gave me a hug, but he kept it brief. We exchanged numbers and departed. A month or so later, I tried to give him a call, and the phone would ring, 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 and then go to voicemail. That was it for me. My question is, why is it that when some people come out, they tend to cut off the people that were there prior to them coming out, including the people that are supportive? I've heard that he's created a new family, gay mom, gay dad, sisters, brothers, etc. Please help me understand why. This isn't anything recent, but this has always kept me wondering, and it's becoming a relevant question because my cousin is following the same pattern as a gay man. He moved away and basically said, "Forget everyone." Luckily, in this case, I'm one of the 5 family members that he is still in contact with, but he's created a new primary family, and we have become very secondary except when he needs money. Okay, now there's a lot. There's a lot to this. There's a lot to this. And I'm gonna talk about all of it really. And you know me, so you know I'm gonna give it to you straight. No chaser. Let's first talk about that gay family. That whole house, it's the gay house situation. And most heterosexual people don't really understand it when you say like gay, like you got a gay mother and gay father and all of that stuff. Most people don't really understand it. It has to do with the whole ballroom and the voguing and all of that. Some of it kind of starts there, but it's a lot deeper than that. There are people who are estranged from their family, and they literally do create they have completely new families. They have people in their life that they actually, because all those things are just titles. They're titles. I mean, of course, your mother and your father literally procreated to create you. But if you don't act like a mother and you don't act like a father, then to hell with you. So there's generally, when you get into that whole gay family thing, there are literally people who stand in the gap for these people. And they are respected as such. And I can tell you about that because I had a slew of gay children. And trust me when I tell you, I literally spent my 20s and my 30s trying to re-raise other people's kids. You know, in a lot of times people right now, you know, if you're on my Facebook, you may have seen this. You may see a post and you see somebody that looks just as old as me and they're like, Mom this and Mom that. Those are my gay children. They are people who have come, they were, you know, close to my age. Some of them are younger than me. I actually have gay children that are older than me. But I didn't take the place of their mother or father. I stood in the gap. That's all that I did. You know, it doesn't take anything away from, I can't ever be I can't take the place of your parent, but it's just like fostering. It was like I was doing foster care before I ever actually became a foster parent. I've paid people's rent. I've sat and talked and sat and cried, and I've dealt with folks just everything that you could think of with a child or a teenager or a young adult. I've gone through with someone in the gay life. I've done that with them. You know, I've gotten them out of jams. I've carried them along with me when they were trying to find themselves, and when they can't afford to get in the club, who pays? Mom pays. I did all that. And there are times when I could sit and say, you know what? Because I've said it. I wasted my 20s and my 30s trying to raise somebody else's child. But then I have to check myself when I get into that mode, because no, I didn't waste my time. I didn't waste my time because some of them got it and some of them didn't. And once I became a real foster parent, an actual legal foster parent, and then an actual adoptive parent, it was the same thing. You know, I got my children as babies, and hey, it's a goddamn crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get, and you don't know how it's going to turn out. You know what I mean? Some of them get it, some of them don't. And that's basically what it is. So I hope that kind of clears some of that up. So, yes, when you say created another, yes, they do create a whole nother family. And a lot of times it takes the place of that thing that is literally missing. And when you don't have your actual family, there is a piece that's missing. Me personally, I did the same thing. My family was right there, but I had a gay mom, I had a drag mom, and you know, I had these things. I had a gay father. You know, I had these things. You know what I mean? And they stood in the gap for me, so I understood what it could do for you in a positive way. So that's why I actually took it on and I did that. So no, I didn't waste my time. But that's what that's all about. And the best gay parents, I would say, are the ones that know in their heart of hearts that all you are doing is standing in the gap for where the parent is absent. And, you know, I've actually stood there in the gap with some kids I've met the mothers and the fathers and different things, and it's cool with them, and it is what it is. They understand my position. I understand their position. It is what it is. There's some things you can't answer. Those things I can't answer. I can never replace you. And I know that, and I respect it. So those are the best gay parents. You know what I mean? And sometimes it is necessary. And I think a lot of gay kids that come out that actually get gay parents that are decent are lucky. They're the lucky ones. They're the lucky ones. So that's that whole thing. Your friend, though, your friend is full of shit. And I don't know a nicer way to try to say that. See, I know who this letter's coming from, okay? So I know who this letter is coming from. So when I tell you that reading this letter, you all, my people who watch me, we could take this person for their word. And when this person that wrote this letter says to you, all I said was, it is what it is. It's about time. Do you? I promise you that's how it went. I promise you, I would bet my last money that that's exactly what was said. That's exactly what was meant. There was nothing extra. There was no shade involved. When they said, do you? Ain't nobody worried about that. I've been waiting on you to tell me. That was it. That's all that happened. So just because you're gay, okay, and you're coming out, and you have a bit of a rough time, that does not give you a license to misuse, abuse, nor take for granted those who have not done that to you, those who are not giving you a cold shoulder. It is not acceptable for you to blow them off. They are still your friends. They still deserve the friendship that you expected for them to give to you. So all this becoming distant and all of this, I don't think you have anything to feel bad about. It is what it is. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. Fall back and don't worry about it. And that's not just a gay thing. That's just a thing in general. That's just a thing in general. That is the makings of a person who have put themselves in a position to play victim. That's what that is. I mean, it was the child victimized by the family? Hey, maybe so. It happens. But he wasn't victimized by you. So why do you have to be treated the way that the family got you? The family got thrown in the garbage. You didn't deserve to be thrown in the garbage. So all I can say is you did over and beyond what it was that you were supposed to do. You don't need to feel no kind of way about it. And how far this has actually gone and how long it's been, child, whatever. He lost a friend. You didn't. You didn't. And then now when we go to your cousin, I'll be a little nicer because it is your cousin. Same rules apply. Same rules apply. And I was kind of cool with it. And I know there's going to be a little more lenience because it is your cousin. And thank goodness the cousin is kind of sticking on. And there are some people not being totally selfish in it. But the piece that bothered me was about the money thing. Don't play games with me either. Either we all in with each other or we all out with each other. We're not all in when you need something. That's not, again, don't, just because you're gay and you're having an issue, it doesn't give you a license to set up to misuse people. The whole point is we're always whining and crying about how hard it is being gay, what we went through, but you have to be very present in the moment and make sure that you're not abusing other people just because you got abused. It is what it is, and it doesn't ever get easier. You know, when you're gay and people are shady to you, it never gets easier. You learn to deal with it, and then at a point, it just is what it is. You get over it. It's not like it gets easier. You just get over it. You be like, to hell with it. You know what I mean? But again, like I said, you got to be mindful that if you're being kind of shady or you're being standoffish, make sure you're doing it to the right people. You can't be doing that to everybody. It is not fair. And what has happened, like I said, what happened with your friend was not fair. You did not deserve that. And I would hope, and I know you're not sitting around allowing that. You did just what you were supposed to do. Get out of Dodge. And with your cousin, God bless him, but don't play ping pong and do not allow nobody to be no soccer ball. Do not let them kick you around. That's all I got to say about it. Now, I hope that this helps. I really do. And you know, that's my big thing. My big thing is, because like I said, I did have gay kids and all of that stuff. And I loved them. And some of them turned out really good. I have my one child, he was young. and I'm going to tell this real quickly when we get off here. He was young, and he was from Ohio. Okay, he was from Ohio. He came to Pittsburgh, and he was enrolled into culinary arts program. So, he had a whole, how they have your whole, your room and your board and all of that stuff is in your tuition and all that. And, when you're going to one of those schools, sometimes you run into that last little bit where because I did it myself. When I went to school for fashion design, I got to the very last part in my financial aid. I had used all the financial aid that I could. And I ended up having to take a personal loan, and thank God I got approved for that personal loan to actually be able to finish up. So he ran into one of these kind of situations. The place where he actually was staying, it was very expensive because it used to be worked all into the tuition and all of that. So it was between a rock and a hard place. So we had actually met at the club, and he just kind of became one of my little gay kids. And I just loved him to death. And I'd met his family and his sisters and brothers and this, that, thing, and the other. Yeah, you see, he came from a very religious family. He wasn't thrown away by his family. His family kind of had a little thing where it was like a don't ask, don't tell thing. They just didn't talk about it. They act like it didn't go on. You know what I mean? So there was no real issues. It just kind of was what it was. Well, this is where you fill in the gap. And it was what I would have done for most any of them. That last semester, he came and he stayed with me. He stayed in Pittsburgh with me. Again, like I said, some of them get it, some of them don't. Some of them don't. He went to school like he was supposed to, and he went to work. He had a job, and he worked. I didn't charge him to stay with me or anything like that because, again, you're standing in the gap as a parent. What would your parent do? He stayed with me. He finished his last semester. He had a job already. He worked that job. He did real well. After school, he was there just a little bit longer, and then he ended up getting another job. He ended up moving back to Ohio. He was in Ohio for a little while. He was getting his little field going, doing what he was going to do. Long story short, my baby actually ended up going to the service. He loved it. He's still enrolled. He's still in the service. He has lived in Hawaii, okay, for a long period of time. He lived in Hawaii. He came back here. We actually lost, and this is how this works. We had lost contact at one point. He was doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. This is before I even had my kids. We had lost contact and everything. And he had come to Pittsburgh and found me. Went out of his way, found me, coming here from Hawaii and found me. And we got linked back up. And like I said, long story short, he is doing so well. He's back in, he's not in Hawaii anymore. He's, he was in Texas. But just has a phenomenal life for himself. He got it. And I could not be more proud of him than I would be of Trayvon or Dontre. There's days, them two that I adopted, baby, them motherfuckers just don't get it some days, but he got it. And I have other gay children that I could tell you stories about. Them bastards didn't get it. So it's one of those things, but I just stood in the gap just a little bit. That's all. He still had relationship with his own people, but he ran into me because that's one of them times when God places people in your path that need to be in your path. I always say there's no coincidences. It is what it is. I was supposed to be a part of his life for that part of his life, and I guess we were supposed to reconnect and all of that, and that's why everything worked out the way it is. So yeah, it's a real thing. It really is a real thing. It's not a joke when you hear people talk about they have these gay families, but the gay family doesn't really take the place of your family. It just stands in the gap where needed. It doesn't take over a spot where you can say, oh, to hell with my regular family. Well, I mean, sometimes it's abusive and all of that. You have to do that, but it really isn't It's not a this is better and that's worse kind of thing all the time. Sometimes it's just a necessary thing. So anyway, I'm rambling. So I'm going to leave this here. Like I said, thank you for, I never thought you'd be writing me, asking me for advice, but whatever. I'm glad you did. And I hope this actually helps. And I'll see you soon. Later. You have something you need to get off your chest or something you need some help with? I'll give it my best shot. Send me an email to spillitboy@gmail.com, and in the title line, you want to put Hey James to make sure that I actually see it. If you don't put Hey James in the subject line, I'm not going to see it. It's going to continue to be an issue. So send me an email and we'll talk about it later.